Hey everyone, this is Koshik from Consensus Labs. Today we will do a quick demo of Mirror tool, which is a tool that we had developed to bootstrap projects on Enterprise Ethereum. Especially someone is building on Besu and Orion privacy nodes, but we intend to extend the project so that it supports all kinds of nodes on Enterprise Ethereum specification. So let's get started. So Besu is actually a npm tool, so you can just install with the help of npm. So we have already installed it here, and then you have to be on an empty directory, so you can create a directory and then be there to initiate a project with the help of mirror tool. The first thing you can do to initiate a project is just mirror init. So this is very similar command. So all the commands here are very similar to the truffle or any kind of a tool that we normally use to develop on public blockchain nodes, right? Yeah, so the first thing it says, we have the project. It has the project directories and the structure. So it needs some dependency to be installed. So we can install that with the help of npm install. So while it installs dependency, so let's just explore the structure of the project, which is Bootstrap. So again, this is very similar to any sort of the project that is created using Truffle. So it has contract, migration folder, and then test and configuration file. So the contract, you can write any number of contract files so that it will the tool can build all the contracts for you. So migration is actually a very important file inside the index.js. You can write rules so that when you do the deployment, it picks up what contract to be deployed and where to be deployed. So we can write rules such that it deploys on specific nodes with the help of privacy groups, or it can even deploy it on the public nodes. So that means all the nodes which are specified in the configuration mirror config network will be deployed here. And there is a test, so you can write any kind of test. So this is written using Mocha. So especially we have written sample test for privacy feature, so you can test it out. And then there is a wallet folder where we maintain the keys, sample keys, so that it uses along with the private keys. So these are dummy private keys which are there in the documentation of Besu. So this will be used to do the deployment. And then finally we have an important aspect, or the important configuration file, which is a mirror config file. So where you can specify obviously the build directory where the contract has to be built, and the ABAs and the bytecode has to be saved, so that it can be used later on for building and even running the tests. And then we have you can write any number of create any number of nodes with the host, port, and then also the public key, which is required to identify the Orion node. So this is a public key of the Orion node, so that the privacy feature will be used, and chain ID, and then the group. So the group is actually used to, let's say we want to club few of the nodes into one group and then use that group to do the deployment only on those nodes. So it can be used in the mirror config later. It can be used in the migration file later. So we just have to specify the migration group ID there, so that it will be deployed only on those nodes. So yeah, so we can create any number of nodes. We also have an example for on-chain group, or where the on-chain privacy group is feature is there. So we'll show both kind of a deployment, and also we have a Calido deployment, which we can you can create a network in the Calido blockchain as a service platform, and then you can use it as well. Yeah, so looks like, yeah, so our dependencies are installed. So the next thing you can obviously do is you can do the deployment, or you can run the test. So let's just do the mirror deploy. So what's going to happen is that when you do the deploy without even specifying the network, it will by default pick the nodes, but you can even specify the network. So now that we have group 1, so let's just do the deployment with this group 1. So you'll have to also make sure that inside the migration index the group is same. So otherwise it might try to connect other nodes where you don't want that contract to be deployed. And we have told that to this particular file that you want only the contract counter file to be deployed, and if you want it to be deployed on few nodes, you can specify it as a group member. But again, this when you do the deployment through the mirror tool, it will ask where exactly do you want to do the deployment. So let's just do the mirror deploy without any configuration. It's gonna by default pick that node, or you can also specify the networks with the, since we have node 1, so it will deploy it on the node 1. Yeah, so it's gonna ask whether you want to deploy it on the public, so that means all the nodes which are present in that mirror config with that group, it will deploy on it. If not, it will deploy on the privacy group which you have created in the migration file. So we have deployed to the public network. So again, I wanted to show that we are using testnet2.appchain.xyz, which is actually, it doesn't have the on-chain privacy group, so which is over here. So we have used a sample Besu network to create it. So as you can see, this has this interface where you can do the exploration and all. So we have one more network which is used for on-chain privacy that we will show in a while. So now, yeah, so you can even run the tests on the same thing. So you can do the test. It's going to pick the tests from the test folder, and it will run the tests on the same network. Right. Yeah. So let's look into the on-chain privacy part. So where we have one node, a single node where we want to deploy the on-chain privacy group. So that node is actually testnet.appchain.xyz. So I'm going to alter that, and then the group is group 3. So you just start to change it to group 3 so that we don't deploy it on the other nodes which are they're in the completely different network. So all you have to do is we can do the same thing, test or the deploy. You will have to specify the network as on node 1 underscore on-chain, and then also you will have to give a flag on-chain privacy so that our mirror tool knows how to deploy it to the on-chain privacy group. So yeah, so this is going to deploy on this particular explorer that we just showed testnet on. So you can even explore that. As you can see, the transactions are created, few transactions are created here. Yeah, so it works on both on-chain as well as off-chain privacy group. So now we can do one more test on the Kaleido. So we have a sample Kaleido instance that we will just quickly open. Yeah, so we have a Kaleido node key. So you need a Orion node key, and as well as the host with the username password if you have, and then the chain ID. So we have already, we'll just copy this for the Kaleido node, and also the entire host. So if it has a username password for authentication, you will have to make sure that you have the entire link, and then the chain ID. Yeah, so now we can, so that particular node doesn't have the on-chain privacy group. So we just have to change it to network to Kaleido, and it should run the test. We even have a blockchain explorer here, where initially there were 8 transactions. Okay, so it looks like we have some error. This could be due to so we'll just do a deploy instead and see whether it's actually deploying. I'm sure of the what the error it's giving for the test network. Yeah, I think it's going to be because of the group ID. So we just have to change the group ID to here or 2. So now it should be able to. Yeah. So let's also do the test on the Kaleido. Yeah, it should work fine. So you can also verify over here the transaction has increased. Yeah, so this is a pretty handy tool that we have internally developed. We think that it's going to help the people who are trying to bootstrap their project on Enterprise Ethereum and then explore the functionality of the privacy group in the developer environment, it's pretty easy to bootstrap and test out your contracts, so without even having to create your own network and then do any kind of a script, use any kind of scripting to compile to the deployment. So we feel that it's pretty handy. So you can just check out the documentation for docs.mirror.consenslabs.com, and you can even go to the GitHub and try to contribute. If you need any feature request, you can add the issues. Feel free to contribute. So we have so we'll do the review and so we can add the functionality for few other nodes. So we intend to extend this project to the quorum as well. So now that the Enterprise Ethereum specification is working together, everyone is working towards a single specification. So that's about Mirror application. So I hope this will be of help to every developer who is building on Enterprise Ethereum. Thank you.